Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Comic Book Chronicles. I am your host, Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter. You can find me at News Nerds Need on Twitter and Blue Sky for both places. And you can find me at CPCaps on Instagram.
South Carolina with Columbia down the way.
And the sound effects you've heard come from none other than our man in Brooklyn, @agent_70 on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky.
What's up, everybody? Co-hosting from the Bow of Kings, live and direct. We are back.
Where you from?
Brooklyn going out to all.
Oh, sorry.
Just a kid from Brooklyn.
There we go.
Okay. Yeah. And you can find this podcast on the Cold Slither Podcast Network, CSPN.us.
Do it today.
And you can find us on your podcast perusal place of choice, whether it be Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Cold Slither Podcast Network SoundCloud page.
Make sure to click like, subscribe, and leave us all the positive 5-star reviews, especially on Apple Podcasts, because that helps people find our show.
Indeed. Folks, we are going to get into the show by taking care of some stuff that we couldn't have taken care of last week and partially this week with the discussion of Peacemaker Season 2, Episodes 1 and 2, which are called The Ties That Grind and A Man Is Only As Good As His Bird.
Yes. I mean, we're only going to touch a little bit on episode 2 because it just came out. Roddykat still has not had a chance to watch it. I have. And, but what I'll say is we are picking up essentially where we left off at the end of the last season, which is hard to remember. It's actually hard to remember. It's been quite a while since we've gotten some Peacemaker, but they do a good job of kind of reminding us of how these people are connected to each other and some of the stories that have come not only in the first season of Peacemaker but also during the James Gunn Suicide Squad movie. And the first thing I mentioned about the first episode to Roddykat was that we are definitely watching an HBO show because I thought I had run into an episode of Game of Thrones during the first episode of Peacemaker. And lo and behold, it is definitely an episode of Peacemaker and James Gunn taking some liberties with being on HBO. And, one of the things that we get out of this version of Peacemaker and this character's kind of journey over the course of his appearances in the DCEU or the DCU, is that he's undergoing, some transformation, some evolution, a journey, a character journey, a journey of working on himself and his mental health, because he's obviously in a very bad place when we run into him in the Suicide Squad movie. And he is at least trying to make an effort to make himself better. And this is kind of like the ongoing thing. And one of the things that we get during that first episode is how, things have not turned out well for Chris Smith, the Peacemaker, after the events of the first season. And so, we catch up with every character, every main character that's in this crew, the 11th Street Kids crew, over the course of the first hour and over the course of the first 2 hours of the 2 episodes. So I'll hand it off to Roddykat for his thoughts. But, what I'll say about, the first episode specifically and in part the second episode, which I can speak to, which is, I get it. There's some jokes that seem to be not my cup of tea, but overall, I'm okay. I'm not pleased. I'm not unhappy. I'm not disappointed or anything like that. I'm okay with the direction of the show. It's not necessarily my cup of tea, but it does entertain to a certain extent for me. And I'll hand it off to Roddykat.
There we go. Okay, your Discord, your camera was frozen for some. Well, not on Discord part, but for some strange reason, the shot was frozen on your end. But now it's good.
Oh,
that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah. So I guess disclaimer needs to go here. If you have not watched the first episode of season 2, as Agent 70 alluded to, yeah, this is not one you might want to watch with the kids.
Especially, that's an understatement.
Yeah, especially a good 10, 15 minutes in. Not even that actually, but definitely not that. After that, you know what? Use some judgment, but I still would probably say maybe not. Well, no, after that, it's back to whatever. But yeah, after the first couple of minutes in, yeah, you might not want to. Don't, because it is definitely some adult situations going on there. As again, if you did not take the hint from what Agent 70 alluded to with Game of Thrones, and I would add Spartacus and those type of shows to what they would tend to do at any given time. Yeah, take that hint very, 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 very seriously. If you have kids, if not, or if you just don't care, I don't know. That's up to you. I don't know. I can't raise your kids. But regardless. So yeah, I will also point out the fact that yes, like Agent 70 said, they did do a good job with kind of catching people back up with what's going on with the crew, and there's a little bit of, I guess, for just in case you were coming into the show fresh and didn't see first season, a little bit about the kind of some bits that happened in the first season that we found out, probably more so about Peacemaker himself than the whole season itself. But enough to kind of get you an idea. But also, YouTube's full of those, hey, here's what happened in the first season catch-up videos, and in one relation and how it relates to Superman. So, you can catch those just as easily out there if you want to kind of go in that way. That being the case, yeah, we do definitely get some setup with what this season is going to be about. And it was, as some folks might say, not necessarily a throwaway thing from the first season, but it definitely stems from something that got brought up in the first season that was not really delved into that much, but it definitely has something to do with that. Plus, if you've seen Superman, it has to do with a situation or two that came about there. It is connected to a situation that happens there. In fact, is referenced to during the course of the show. So they are definitely going hey, this whole thing is connected business. Right. And they even... Right,
they actually... Oh, no, go ahead. Finish your thought.
No, I was going to say, they even did a little bit of retconning of the...
Yes, I was just about to mention that.
Yeah, a little bit of retconning of a thing that happened at the end of the first season that connects back to the shows, the movies prior to the current version of the DC movie universe. So that right there was funny enough as it is, because I was like, wait a minute. Okay, it kind of happened like this, and also do remember this character, the character saying the thing, but you can notice they definitely changed up. Not only, let's just say, a couple of the cameos that showed up, but a line of that was mentioned, in the flashback to season 1. So I was like, okay, so this is how they chose to handle that whole situation. Just retcon the whole thing. It was like, it's okay, that didn't happen that way. Don't worry about it. Right, which was kind of funny. So what were you were going to say, or?
No, that's exactly what I was going to say, which is the retcon, where it's actually both a story retcon and a visual retcon, right? The visual retcon is absolutely noticeable if you remember what it looked like in the first one.
Exactly.
So, if you remember that scene, you're like, wait a second, that's not how it happened. I'm being gaslit.
Right. It's basically, if you watch last week's or listen to last week's Comic Book Chronicles, a very similar thing happened in a book that I brought up from last week, and it was like, except for obviously being on paper, but I pretty much the exact same thing happened. It was like, okay, I know this happened this one way. You're not going to tell me it happened this other way, even though you just changed it in this other book, other thing. And sure enough, they did the same thing. So that was kind of funny. Which that kind of plays into the connection between this show and Superman also. And I won't go too much farther than that, because that's, you will get it once you see it if you've seen Superman. Right. And kind of know what's going on in the DCU right now as far as the shows and movies are concerned. So,
right. My understanding is that Superman is available for video on demand, and you can get around to watching Superman if you'd like.
Yeah, that is true. It is. Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to wait all the way until it comes out on HBO Max, but I understand if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, I am pretty sure if you've got access to to the high seas, I'm sure you could also find it out there. And you're capable enough to find that out. You can also find out we're not advocating it, just saying it's a thing. But yeah, like I said, there's really not much more to kind of go on out there. But the only thing I will definitely say is that they are definitely diving into familiar seas, and I'm not talking about piracy. I'm talking about let's just say their competition's use of parallel universes.
Right. Right. Which is not a foreign territory to the DC universe. In fact, you may want to get a hand on get your hands on Crisis on Infinite Earths there.
Yeah, or not if you don't want to see Pariah crying.
Oh no! God, I still remember us poking fun at Pariah.
Every time it comes up. Which, by the way, hey, you know what? If you're on YouTube and you're looking at the archives for this show, you can go look at one of our evergreen episodes. I can't remember the number right offhand, when we didn't have any books to read at the beginning of the pandemic, and we were doing. Yeah, we were doing event stuff, and Crisis on Infinite Earths was one of the ones we did. Might have been the first one we did. I can't remember. But it was one of the ones we did, and we had a ball talking about that dude and that thing. So, that being said, you can go check that out. It's in the archives. Go to, audio and video. Catch it. Anyway, back to Peacemaker, though, and I think we're pretty much wrapped up on it, because like I said, we don't really want to give too much of it away. Like I said, the setup, we kind of know what the big thing is going on with this season, going back to what I just said, with what they're kind of toying with.
Right. And it's definitely an issue of, whether or not the grass is actually greener. And, that's the gist of the story so far. And that just gets further established in the second episode. So, I'm not spoiling anything here. We already know that's generally where this series or this season of television is going. Right. So we'll see how that develops moving forward.
Right. It's definitely not that hard to figure out from the first episode where the potential going on that route. So yeah, he's definitely not spoiling anything on that one.
Right. Our only, at least specific to our show, our only difficulty is that this season of television drops on Thursday evening. Right. So it can prove to be a little difficult for us to catch ahead of recording, because we really won't have much time, if any time, to actually catch it when it's out in a timely manner.
Right, and it's definitely not worth holding off the episode. Us recording for that. It just so happens.
Exactly, it's not short. Right, it's not short enough to do that, and it's just not worth the time.
Right, it just so happened. But a little behind the scenes, we are recording on a Friday and not on the Thursday, but that's because Thursday was something happened. Something
exactly. Life was lifing.
Yeah, kinda. A little too much. But that being said, Peacemaker, it's out there. Like I said, disclaimer still, like I said earlier, the second doesn't sound like the second episode kind of had the adult situations that is the second one. And I should go back and clarify something. I don't know what Agent 70 was talking about. It's not on HBO. It is on HBO Max, just in case anybody thought that. But that's what he meant when he said that. Unless it is on HBO, which I doubt. That would be actually funny because I didn't see anything about it that being the case. Regardless, HBO Max is out there, and I know if you don't, you know, most people have access to that. If not, so you know people and you know other ways are. Anyway, that is Peacemaker, and we are going to get off of that swiftly and get into the books of the week. Starting off with Gatchaman Joe, Bloodline, #1 one-shot.
All right, Gatchaman Joe, Bloodlines #1. The one-shot, published by Mad Cave, is written by Steve Orlando, with art by Nicola Scott, colors by Joao Canola, and letters by Frank Svedovic. This is, I think, the last of the Gatchaman one-shot issues featuring each member of the Science Ninja Team. And, this one focuses on Joe the Condor. And the big thing about this issue is that
It's a trap!
not once,
It's a trap!
not twice,
It's a trap!
several times. Right? And Joe absolutely understands that's what's happening and dives headlong into it and, makes his way through it. And ultimately, we kind of learn a little bit about this character's background that may have been, heretofore unbeknownst to most of us who are maybe more surface level or casual fans. Or less educated about the lore behind each of the individual characters. So I appreciated that part, and I'll hand it off to Roddykat with that.
Right. So, well, first off, this might not be the last one shot. That depends on whether they plan on doing one for Jinpei.
Jinpei?
Yeah, because there's a couple of issues of the of Gatchaman that kind of seemed like they were kind of surrounded with, and they were, but not necessarily like this. So there could very well be another one coming. We don't know.
Right.
That being said, it was a pretty interesting issue. Like, sometimes I wasn't really expecting this one, but then again, I guess I should have, given that, as we have talked about before, we have gotten one shots from, other members of the team, which, like, again, only leaves the one left if and I suspect when they plan on doing it. I don't think it's a if. It's definitely going to be a when. But you gotta they're padding out the line. Actually, not padding out. That's the wrong word. But basically, padding out they're basically giving us more backstory into the characters than we had in the series that we know about. Because like I said, there was a good 100 episodes of the show, and I don't recall, and I can't say I've seen every episode that they've even focused on too much on the members of the team in the way that they do with these one shots. Put it that way. So I don't know. Like I said, I have the show, and I've been meaning to kind of revisit that, see if that is actually the case, because I only remember less than a handful of episodes. So it's kind of what it is.
Right. I still need to sit down and watch the entire anime all the way through, like the non-Americanized anime that is. So I could definitely use that as a reference, but I still, for the at least to my knowledge, right, which is obviously filled with gaps and holes, I do not think we've had this much lore established per character,
right, or any, honestly,
Right,
We've said this with Thundercats. We've said, well, yeah, we've said this with Thundercats. We've said this with Silverhawks. I've said this with Herculoids, which actually, now that I think about it, should have come out this week, but we didn't get a copy of it yet. But either way, with other such licensed titles, and Space Ghost also, and Johnny Quest. So the list goes on and on. That have made comic form. That Transformers also, actually, now that I think, Transformers not so much, because we have gotten some of this stuff. Either way, you get what I'm saying. So there's really not much else to say. The 8 to 70 kind of put the broad strokes out there, and that's what needs to be said about it. It's a good issue, though. If you're
right.
into
what I would say, the one thing I would add is that it's funny to see. It's a very DC way of approaching the real world, because we're dealing with versions of what's actually of the real world in the Gatchaman world, the Gatchaman reality, and just to see how things translate a little differently into the Gatchaman world from the real world, as opposed to being in a particular place in South Dakota. We'll put it that way.
Right. Or in this case, was it South Carolina? I thought it was kind of Italy based.
Well, it was a mix, right? Because there's this one, there's this one locale that seemed to be South Dakota based, but then another is, or the rest of it is mostly in kind of like a loose kind of duplicate of Italy. Right.
Which, and again, that could have been something that the show might have touched on here and there, and that's another thing we've also to be in the beginning. They've been doing a lot of that in these one-shot issues and or the annual.
Right. It's very DC, which always, as a kid, kind of annoyed me. I was just like, why are we in Keystone City?
Yeah. So fair enough. So that's Gatchaman Joe Bloodline #1 one shot. The next book that we are going to talk about, and I'm pretty certain I'm going to have to. Well, I'm probably going to put a little soundbite here. Justice League Unlimited #10.
Oh, all right. I mean, I can play something Justice League.
Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice.
Justice League Unlimited #10, published by DC, is written by Mark Waid with art by Dan Mora, colors by Tamara Bonvillain, and letters by Ariana Mar. So we pick up right where we left off in the last issue. If you need time to catch up, I don't blame you, because I too had to catch up before I read this issue. Things are very different for the character once known as Doomsday. I had no idea. I kind of knew and I kind of didn't that the Doomsday character had been transformed over the course of his history since his debut in 1993. My goodness. This character's 30 plus years old. That's nuts. The character has found himself, with a different personality, a different level of intelligence, and it seems like we are continuing to build towards another big crossover event in the DC universe, and one of the main engines of this big crossover event is going to be in Justice League, because that essentially is what the triggering event for their formation in their current form was the big all-in event that that led to the Absolute Universe, and the big event crossover seems to be getting a lot of build-up in the pages of Justice League. And with that, I'll hand it off to Roddykat.
Yeah, Time Trapper, as Doomsday is going by here, is not necessarily a shell of his former self, but kind of.
I mean, his name is Time Trapper. I would have laughed if his name was Time Trapper Keeper.
Ooh, I saw that one. but yeah, so yeah, so because of events, and yeah, as Agent 70 just said, yeah, Justice League Unlimited is the book that pretty much not only, you know, all of the books, a lot of books surrounding it, kind of things come off of, or come off of. Yeah, it is definitely where the event stuff is coming from, because like this book was set up to be, hey, everything in the universe that goes on, you know, it's kind of going to pop off from here, or at least get get mentioned off from here. So, and they've been certainly keeping that up since this book started. But in particularly, like I said, yeah, Time Trapper kind of has to come back to the Justice League because of some trouble he got into because of forces dealing with the catalyst of this version of the Justice League, and that all-in situation. Because just like with Marvel and a certain thing, everything is starting to come from that, or from this one point. So and outside of that, you get a side bit of chatter with Batman and Red Tornado about what he and the Trinity have been talking about since that whole "We Are Yesterday" situation, which kind of got out of hand, and also kind of kicking this whole thing off, or not kicking off, keeping the ball up in the air, as if you're watching the feeder version Agent 70 has been doing. But and also another situation in Markovia, which is one of those made up lands from the DC universe that we were talking about. Another team is trying to investigate a situation having to also potentially deal with an adjoining situation. And also, there was a dude that was introduced here. Well, I say introduced. This might be a character that's been around forever and a day. I just don't know him. That introduced themselves, kinda. And I was like, who is this person and where did they come from? At first I thought, where is this? Why did they mix Werewolf by Night and Ghost Rider together?
Right.
Which was my first thought, and I was like, okay. And I didn't do the legwork on this character, but like I said, at least they introduced themselves. So if I want to go back, to see,
right, that was helpful. I did notice that. Mm-hmm. A couple of quick notes I'd like to add. Okay. One is that it's nice to see John Jones kind of back at full power.
Yes.
Because of some of the events of previous issues kind of coming together, and kind of restoring one of the side effects of the whole all-in thing. Mm-hmm. And two,
that was Absolute Power, actually. That wasn't all in.
Oh, Absolute Power. I'm sorry. I meant Absolute Power. I kind of blanked on the name of the event.
Totally understandable. But
right, and kind of riding on the coattails of the new Superman movie. Metamorpho plays an expanded role in this issue, kind of. In accordance with the kind of expanded role that he enjoyed in the Superman movie.
Mm-hmm. Weird, huh? How the
weird how that happens.
Yeah, funny, but yeah, like I said, we kind of get a look into what the Trinity was talking about in the secret meeting. As Batman talks to Red Tornado, who's definitely going to try to get to do something behind the other two's back, which I guess kind of stands.
That's what's in Justice League Red.
Well, that's the other thing, yes, because we also get. I was going to get to that in a second, but we get a preview of Justice League Red after this,
which came out last week.
Exactly. So actually, I'm glad I read the preview. Well, actually, I don't think it would have mattered because I've seen the same pages there either. Because I was curious about what that book was going to be about, but like I said,
right. I skimmed it for a few minutes after I read this. I was like, oh, okay. So it's very like what you have to understand is that the Justice League in this version of the Justice League reads kind of similar to like the expanded X teams as opposed to the expanded Avengers teams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right. Where there might be like some more aspects to the X-Men as opposed to additional aspects of the Avengers. There's generally one Avengers team. They're the team that, you know, like when with everyone has to come together to take care of the things that you can't take care of by themselves. But there are specific teams, like for the X-Men, that are tasked with doing certain things that maybe the main team doesn't necessarily have time to do, or have, you know, maybe the exposure to do, you know, or lack of exposure. So
Right.
you know, that's what it seems like Wade and company are doing with these various Justice League spinoffs.
Yeah, amongst other things. But yeah, so you know, a lot of balls up in the air that are in this book that are probably going to come together in that event thing. And also, like I said, the whole thing with what the Trinity was talking about with the whole how this iteration of the Justice League started, and membership issues, and you know, things that kind of happened because of We Are Yesterday. They were like, hey, we gotta do something about this because this shouldn't have happened. So, but also realistically, kind of in line with, you know, the animated series, because, you know, this book is not named similarly for no reason. And sure enough, you know, there's something that happens that was like that caused them to kind of reevaluate things between season 1 and season 2, which realistically, you know, I guess just technically would be season 2, but regardless, you know, the kind of things happened that get to kind of start to get ironed out in the course of this issue. And that is Justice League Unlimited number 10. Oh yeah, and there's still another big fire or two that has to do with and not just talking about the Markovia situation, but something else is going on the Watchtower, even though they're still trying to deal with stuff that's been going on the Watchtower since We Are Yesterday. I mean, yeah. So it's again a lot going on. Next up, though, we are going to, speaking of the Avengers, we're going to talk about Avengers number 29.
Alrighty, Avengers number 29, a Talky issue, is written by Jed McKay with art by Fareed Karami, colors by Federico Blee, and letters by VC's Corey Petit. And when I say that it was a Talky issue, I am not kidding.
Yeah.
I absolutely am not kidding. There is a lot of exposition in this issue, lots of explanation in this issue, because we're slowly trying to progress this story forward, kind of circling back to Kang's initial involvement in this relaunch of the Avengers. And now we bring in the Fantastic Four, at least Reed Richards, right? Circling back all the way to Battle World, not the first Battle World, but the second Battle World, the Hickman Secret Wars. That's the t-shirt that Roddykat was just highlighting for us that he's wearing tonight. And you know, it's pretty fun to see at least this part of the story come full circle, with a little bit of a twist in that this was foreseeable if we had thought about it back then.
Yeah.
Right. And I'll let Roddykat pick up that particular thread going forward. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, well, before I even get to that, so this book seems to be, well, not even seems to, is definitely past One World Under Doom. Even though One World Under Doom is still going on, but that's not going to touch the Avengers books anymore. So therein lies that. But yes, what the Avengers have been chasing for a good year, as we come to find out in this explanation-heavy issue, is that one of the things out of this quote-unquote prophecy, or whatever the case, that has to do with a specific point, aka the missing moment, is has to do with Secret Wars 2015 and what Reed Richards had to do with it, and that apparently T'Challa remembers still, and which makes sense because he was there when a lot of stuff was going on that Reed Richards and Valeria and them were kind of doing to reshape the universe.
Right. 2015,
yep,
folks.
a whole 10 years.
Secret Wars. My God.
Yep. 10 years. So, but yeah, it was, I got to say, it was probably an interesting way to tie back into that, as because as I just haven't said, yeah, it's like, yeah, if we had thought about it a little bit, probably could have thought about it, but there was no really way, especially when the fact that they kept going away from it, to kind of get to that point without, you know, if they had kept up on it, then yeah, we probably would have come to it a little bit sooner. But it was like, oh, interesting. And it's all coming
but I definitely get how McKay could come up with this particular story, given that, you know, in hindsight, it's right there in front of us, but it's not something that, you know, without a little bit of, you know, 2020 hindsight vision plus, you know, the idea that, you know, there's no, you know, what I liked is that there's no way that what caused this particular missing moment in time was not going to happen. Of course it was going to happen. The way everyone kind of rationalized it, of course it was going to happen. We just didn't realize it as we were reading it in real time back in 2015.
Right. Exactly. By the way, how the way things come back together, we weren't thinking about it. It was like, oh no, things are just happening. So
right. Snap of the fingers. Right. You know, Franklin just took care of it.
Right.
You know.
Right. But then we get to this, and it's like, oh, right. Wait.
Right.
Yes. There was that whole situation that could have gone. And I kind of wonder how the conversation, because you know. Jed McKay probably at the very least, you know, obviously read Secret War, but I wonder if he talked to Hickman himself. Like, so, you know, when you were thinking about this, what, you know, is that something? You know, can that translate to something like this, and or whatever the case may be? We don't know that. That would be something to ask Jed McKay if anybody sees them.
Right.
But regardless. It all gets mixed up in that whole Murden and the Twilight Court situation, which, if that doesn't sound familiar, yes, King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table is kind of what they're also implicating here, because there's also Arthur is the king in this thing. That is the head of the Twilight Court, by the by. But we don't have to worry about them too much longer because there's somebody else's problem who
right. They also They're also kind of admittedly we know it, but you know, like as readers, but it's made explicit that this Twilight Court was specifically constructed as mirror images of the Avengers.
Correct.
So, you know, not just that they were kind of created in the image of King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table, as it were, but also in the images of the current form of the Avengers.
Just like he drew it. But that all leads to I guess the quest that the Avengers are now on because of time they thought they had that they no longer had, and therefore having to come to Reed Richards about his part in Secret Wars, which is seeming like is going to lead them back to Battle World, because again, sure, and it's also 10 years, sure, and a certain item that would be associated with the quest of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, or Monty Python and the Holy Grail if you go that far, which, you know, hey, that's me. That would be me. So yeah, they're looking for that thing, and I'm kind of wondering. I'm going to say this right now. I have no basis for this. Molecule Man's going to be involved, or the thing that, or going to be the end goal here. Because who also had a part in Secret Wars. That's just me. That's my speculation. It may not be the case at all. If he ends up being the Grail, I would not be surprised. That's all I'm going to say. Maybe they're going to even pull Miles back into this, but I doubt it. They should, but he's, I doubt that's going to happen. Regardless, though, yeah, we're looking to have a trip back to Battle World next month or next couple of weeks, whenever the next issue of Avengers happens, and interesting stuff, I will dare say. Also, the Grandmaster is back came back into play because as Jasmine K tends to do, it's like, oh no, this one-off thing that we thought was a one-off thing kind of comes back into play in another issue down the line, and sure enough, it did. So,
Right.
So will we see, some folks ever again because of that? Don't know. We shall find out. But right now, we're going to move on to, I believe, the last book that we have in common, and that is the case. Speaking of a Talky issue, Ultimate Spider-Man number 20.
Oh my goodness, another Talky issue. Ultimate Spider-Man number 20 is written by Jonathan Hickman. Lots of mumbo jumbo here, but not the technical mumbo jumbo. More of the the emo touchy feely talky mumbo jumbo. That's what we've got here by Jonathan Hickman, written by Jonathan Hickman, with art by David Messina, colors by Matthew Wilson, and letters by VC's Corey Petit. So, if you're a fan of talking your issues out, face to face across the dinner table in a private setting with nobody else hearing your business, this is the issue for you. Because this is essentially what is depicted on the page. Lots of talking heads. And for the people who may not think that an issue of talking heads cannot be drawn with flair and cannot be drawn with supreme levels of drama, I present to you as an exhibit this book, because there's a lot of face acting and emoting and just being put forth on the page just in the expressions that the artist David Messina is giving to these characters. That is like 99% of this issue. And I'll hand it off to Roddykat for his thoughts, but yeah, that is the bulk of this issue, because the characters in the book generally hash out a lot of what's been going on while they haven't, while these characters haven't necessarily had the opportunity to interact one-on-one or in close proximity to each other, now they have, and this is their issue to really confront each other and hash things out. So that's what's laid out here on the page.
Right. So as I said the last time we talked about Ultimate Spider-Man, at the end of last issue, basically MJ wanted answers. She wanted to know what everything was going on, and this was going to be the issue. What was thought of then, and it's still kind of sort of the case, was that being us being the audience kind of know what's going on, so we figured a lot of it was going to get be told off screen per se, and kind of partially that is the case. Because as we go into this, we find out that MJ basically wants to know what's going on. So her and Peter and Gwen and Stacy, Gwen and Harry have another double date. But as noted by MJ, this comes different because now that she kind of knows some things and she wants to get the rest of it, and this whole dinner date was to pretty much give her the answers she's seeking. We get. She gets to kind of get some blanks filled in for the most part of the stuff that she did not know, and actually technically she still didn't, as far as we know, get the whole thing, but it kind of went a good ways to go to that point. The funny part about this issue, actually somebody said it online that I saw, and they basically said that everything happens in this issue and nothing happens in this issue. And that's kind of true. Because like the whole issue is there's no action in it. There's no, Spidey hijinks or whatever. It's just them talking. And also, meanwhile, in another part of town, Ben, Uncle Ben and Anna are watching the kids, and Ben is talking to Richard about, his the situation that he had gotten just out of, or into and or out of. But also another situation coming up from there, thanks to Jonah's date with I think that's MJ's mom, and her potential designs on Uncle Ben, and in relation to Aunt Anna. So there's a little thing going on there, but the bulk of the issue is the whole thing with MJ wanting answers, and probably the best part about this issue comes in with a private interaction with MJ and Gwen in the bathroom, to which, because there was something said at the table, and MJ was like, "All right, I'm out here for a second. I gotta take a second." And Gwen goes to talk to her, which kind of brings up some other things, and MJ answering in kind, which was very amusing, as one would expect. I would dare say it's an MJ type answer, although not usually that physical. But it was
right. It depends. Right. It depends on the version of the character that you have experience with, because the character really has had a lot of changes in the character's history. I'm just talking about the 616 version.
Sure. So
the character really has come a long way from where the character was after being introduced in the 60s.
Yep, this is true. So yeah, but that's the bulk of it. But of course, at the end, even though with all of that talking and the Hickman mumbo jumbo that happens in dialogue form here, we of course get into a situation that is forthcoming with a Spider-Man adversary that of course, as things tend to happen in conversations sometimes, or in comic books, it's like, hey, is everything gonna be all right? Sure. And then that ends up not being the case,
right? Because it's all, this particular issue ends just like this.
Exactly. So of course it's going to get into some things happening that might challenge a thing that was said during the course of this issue. So, or actually, probably not even might. Probably there's probably a will at this point. So
right, I actually meant to hit this one. That's the one that most people know.
Both works though. Both works.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you're going to hit that first one in a little bit. But
right,
that was Ultimate Spider-Man. Always, this book was always good. So, and this issue is not that different. It, action or not. Sometimes the dialogue is its own reward in this particular case, especially with Hickman stuff. So there it is. And with that, that concludes all of the books that we have in common. Rapid fire.
All right, rapid fire review time. Here we go.
I ain't got time to bleed.
Alrighty, first up for me is Death of the Silver Surfer, number 3 of 5. It's written by Greg Pak, with art by Sumit Kumar, with colors by Frank Darmada, and letters by VC's Joe Sabino. This book continues to be so well drawn. I cannot stress that the artist Sumit Kumar is doing a fantastic bang-up job on the art for this book. We have a guest appearance by the Fantastic Four as they try to get involved with this new character, Kelly Coe, who is involved with Eagle Star. Remember Eagle Star with that from that Captain America miniseries? Well, guess what? the Sam Wilson Captain America miniseries. Guess what? Eagle Star is back with the evil CEO in charge, and they are basically the bad guys behind what's happening here. We have kind of the explanation behind what was happening, mostly in not necessarily the background, but it wasn't necessarily in the foreground either. Of the first two issues, we get a lot of exposition in this issue to kind of get the story moving forward. And, at least in that regard, like kind of explaining what happened there, what we were seeing there. And having gotten that, we now know that we can now hurtle towards the climax of this series. We're over the hump, as it were, of this story, because this is issue 3 of 5. So we'll see how this wraps up. It's actually pretty good. I recommend that Roddykat and the listeners and viewers of the Comic Book Chronicles pick this up and take a look at it, because it's actually pretty good, and may very well be, at least my suspicion is that they call it the death of the Silver Surfer, might very well be the creation of a new female Silver Surfer. And it's a kind of parallel what we saw in the Fantastic Four movie. That's my suspicion, right? We'll see if my suspicion bears out over the course of these next 2 issues. And next up for me is Mortal Thor #1. It's written by Al Ewing, with art by Pasquale Ferry, colors by Matt Hollingsworth, and letters by VC's Joe Sabino. No surprise here that this is probably going to be my Kliq of the week. I did like Death of the Silver Surfer #3. I'm still not, I haven't fully committed to it, but Mortal Thor #1 is an incredible continuation of Al Ewing's story coming out of the pages of the Immortal Thor, and it's just great. It has elements of the mythology. It has elements of the previous stories that were told by Walt Simonson. Lots of elements that are kind of callbacks to stories from like the 80s and 90s, and we're kind of tying that into what's going on in the Thor book now. It's a lot of fun. It's all very dramatic. The art by Pasquale Ferry is incredible. It's good to see Pasquale Ferry back on in drawing Thor. So definitely a candidate for Kliq of the Week for me. If not, I wouldn't be surprised if I decide on it as my Kliq of the Week. And finally, we have X-Men #21. It's written by Jed McKay, with pencils by Netho Diaz, with inks by Sean Parsons, JP Mayer, and Livesay, colors by Fair Cifuentes Sujo, and letters by VC's Clayton Cowles. We have kind of a fun little side quest by the X-Men, minus Cyclops, because Cyclops is still in lockup. He's locked up, and they won't let him out in Alaska. But Magic, as kind of the assistant captain of this branch of the X-Men, has a lead on the Upstarts. Remember them? They appeared in this series earlier. The reason why they have a lead on the Upstarts, because another, let's say, refugee from the Age of Apocalypse has appeared and stuck their nose into the story. And we all know that there's going to be a big crossover event that's based on both, there's kind of twin events here. There's one directly based on the Age of Apocalypse, and 2, a new crossover called Age of Revelation. So it makes sense that a lot of this stuff would be intertwined, and so this is yet another way to kind of move these kind of main X books, X-Men and Uncanny, towards the crossover story, the event storyline. And that's it for me.
Okay. Excuse me. For my first book, oh shoot, and I didn't get it. Of course. Speed Racer #2 is my first book. Excuse me. I'm just gonna push back over here for a second. Written by David Papose, art by David Tinto, colors by Rex Locus, and letters by Buddy Bedoin. So yeah, we get the continuing saga of this new iteration of Speed Racer. They have, how should I say this? So, this definitely, I don't know if I can call it a reboot, because again, this is one of those situations where we don't have a whole lot of information on the character or the world of Speed Racer from the anime. And this particular version is probably a little bit more grounded in a little bit of reality, let's just say. Outside of the fact that hey, the Mach 5 is what it is, and this whole racing circuit is more like wacky races and whatnot. But excuse me. So as we continue from the first issue, Speed's pop gets roughed up, and Speed finds him and has to take him to the hospital. But they find out, well, along the way, that they have to outrun the police, because obviously time is of the essence, because Pops got beat up and was having a heart attack. But they get there, and apparently Speed's Pops got some friends on the forest, which may be a character from the universe that I'm not aware of. But this basically sends. And what ends up getting found out at the hospital sends Speed on his course of racing, because he needs money, and the way to get the money was of course racing, as what he tends to do. So he kind of finds himself on this course, and of course in this issue he gets his first race, which is a qualifier for the big race, which is where the money is to be, where the money resides. But he kind of has to find a sponsorship, which he does in the form of another character that we know of from the universe, who has, in a capacity maybe probably slightly different from the one that character was in the anime. Again, I don't know that much. I've seen the show, but I've not seen enough of the show to know. All you know is like, hey, there's we see him in a bunch of races. There's Racer X, which does appear in here, and a bunch of folks that kind of, are against Speed Racer while he races, and he has adversaries and whatnot. And I believe they may have established said folks in this issue, because we get introduced to the owner of the car acrobatics team, and they definitely say they abbreviated the CAT, team, but the acronym is Car Acrobatics Team. I don't know if that was a thing from from the anime, or that's something they've proposed but I just found it kind of funny, because they definitely say every time they say it was like, oh yeah, this the cat team, they're the bad guys, or whatever, or they're baddies, or whatever the case may be, whatever. Regardless, so that they get introduced, and Speed's first run-in with them on the track is also noted here in a way that tends to happen. And a much noted and needed pep talk comes from the sidelines as Speed has his first official race. So therein lies that. It's a fun book. That's where the comes down to, but I just found that little tidbit amusing. Next up, though, as I definitely put this back on the Speed track, Mr. Terrific, year one, number 4 of 6. That is the wrong one. There we go. Thank you. The script was written Al Letson. Art by Valentin Delandro and Marissa Louise and Edwin Gallman. Colors by Edwin Gallman. And letters by Lucas Gattoni and World Design. Pardon me. was just noticing something. But yeah, so this is of course kind of sort of in line with the Superman movie, because coming out of that, you gotta have something, gotta have something for the folks to come back to in the comics. Now that Mr. Terrific's been featured in that movie, even though he didn't show up in Peacemaker. It's spoiler alert, I guess, for anything. Although there was another character that did, funnily enough, in cameo. But anywho's, well, I mean, technically it did show up in cameo, but that's beside the point. Anyway, we get a little past and present thing. So we see Mr. Terrific kind of handling a thing in the present with a new friend of his that was kind of after him, in the last couple of issues. But then and him kind of thinking about and talking about his dad in the present, and of course, and his other friend that was the catalyst of him going on going on the adventure in the past, which we cut to, and him basically becoming Mr. Terrific. And when we get to the past, we see him trying to get out of the situation that started last issue, and from that we get the appearance of a well-known Gothamite that is known to dress up as a furry animal and fight crime. Yes, but we also get the alter ego that also shows up in this issue for reasons, and that's they're in all of that pops up, but they're on a kind of a similar mission, because there is let's just say another Superman movie adjacent character that was the adversary that may or may not have cameoed in this particular book for reasons that has nothing to do with Superman, but reasons that this character just would be about anyway. So there's a little there's a little chat between that character and said other cameo from Gotham, and everything else that's going on here partially have to do with, weirdly enough, some things not necessarily going on in Justice League United, but the catalyst behind what's going on in Justice League Unlimited has their hands in what happens in Mr. Terrific Year 1. So go figure. And therein, I would just leave it like that. If that whole vague notion kind of makes you curious about what's going on in this issue, you should pick it up, because it's actually pretty good. Next up, though, sadly, we get the last issue of West Coast Avengers, which is the West Coast Avengers number 10, written by Jerry Duggan, art by Danny Kim, color artist Alfie Hesley, and VC's Joe Caramagna. So basically, everything that's been going on in this book with that whole Scorched Ultron and this other Ultron that's on the team, all of that just kind of gets wrapped up here in this issue, and the stuff that was going on with Kilowatt, aka they were calling them Blue Bolts, but they just stopped doing that and started calling them Kilowatt again.
Okay.
for the back half of this book.
I was about to say, because I've fallen behind on this, so several issues behind.
Well, guess what? Now you don't have to worry about that. Well, I mean, you can finish the story, which they did. Mm-hmm. So basically, it seems like one of those situations, like whether they knew the book was going to get canceled or not, they had an end to what was going on. It is a bit rushed, because I'm pretty sure there was more that they were going to deal in that they did not get to, but they did kind of touch on with this arc. But like I said, that being the case, it all gets wrapped up in during the course of this issue. So without going too much about it.
Right, so now I can circle back at my leisure and kind of read this and see what happened.
Yeah, pretty much. Like in an abbreviated form, because like I said, I know there is definitely probably more stuff that wasn't seen that wasn't seen here that they would have gotten to if they had if this book had lived. So there is a funny thing that happened, and that I will spoil just for a second. If there was something that happened last issue that seemed to be going one way, but of course in true fashion that was not the case. But what happens from that is a gun that shoots wasps that shoots guns. That's all I'll say about that.
Okay.
That part was kind of amusing. But of course, because of the fact that this is the end of this issue and the end of the book, it does leave a couple of breadcrumbs that might show up elsewhere, whether it's in another Avengers book or whatever the case may be. Maybe even, as we will find out in the news, Wonder Man might be getting a book that may or may not have. It doesn't necessarily. There's not much in here that kind of suggests that, but you can kind of infer. And of course, we know Wonder Man has got a show coming up, so it would stand a reason for him to go to get a book anyway. So we shall see whether that happens. But regardless, like I said, things get wrapped up. There are still breadcrumbs that are out there that could be taken up again somewhere else. We shall see whether that happens. Next book is actually we got a 2-shot here, 2 shots or 1 shots, and I know Agent 70 may or may not read them when he gets to them, but the first one is Imperial War, Black Panther #1, 1-shot, written by Victor Lavelle and Jonathan Hickman. Artist Cafu, color artist David Curiel, and letters by Ariana Maher. So again, yeah, this is a 1-shot taking place during Imperial. This particular one takes place, I guess technically between 2 and 3, or maybe after 2, I guess in the midst of 3, something around that part. So basically, everything's happened. Some folks know about what's going, or starting to get ideas about what's going on, but others are still, the galaxy at large is still kind of, or at least they're starting to get the word out thanks to what happens in 3. But at this point, this book still takes place early enough to where, hey, some people still think that the Wakandans have something to do with what initially happened, but during the course of this issue, they find out early on that that's not necessarily the case. But when you have, say, a Hulk involved, that sometimes doesn't matter initially because of the Hulk's involvement in it. But again, don't worry about that, because that stuff gets. Yeah, they bring up that part, but then kind of go on with this. But the crux of the issue is, T'Challa kind of finding out what's going on and basically dealing with things on his end. Let's just say, or at least what he can on his end with the situation at large, because we still have Imperial 4 to deal in, which is going to bring that whole thing in the close, which will come not soon enough for Imperial War, Planet She-Hulk #1. Also another 1-shot, which is written by Stephanie Phillips and Jonathan Hickman, art by Emilio Laso, a color artist Matt Milla, and colors by Francesco Muratino and Raul Angulo, and letters by VC Joe Caramagna, excuse me. So, potential click of the week for me. This is basically what She-Hulk was getting into while Hulk and Brawn was at that was basically getting into what happened, what they were getting into during the Imperial, and she was left back on Sakaar. And I guess it was a good thing. Well, I would say it's a good thing that she was there, but not really, because hey, she finds herself in the midst of a murder investigation. Not as the as a defender in the thing, but as one who has to try to find out who did it and what happened and what has. But it's a car, so she's and we also find out how she's adjusting to being on Sakaar. to in amusing fashion. So I enjoyed reading this issue. It was pretty good. So you should definitely get a chance to check it out after you read Imperial War Black Panther #1, which neither one has anything to do with each other. But let's just say that's a fairly optimal reading order for those two books. Next up is The Thing #4 or 5. Excuse me. My apologies for that. Written by Tony Fleeks, art by Justin Mason, color artist Alex Sinclair, and letters by VC's Joe Caramagna. So Ben and this child that he's trying to get back home have a big bounty on their head, and he's still fighting every other bad guy in the Marvel universe. As I say in my notes, they really pulled out the old hot move for this one, because they pulled out a bunch of Jokers, and not necessarily Jokers.
I skimmed this issue, so I know exactly what you mean. They pull out the hate monger,
right? They
pull out a lot of characters,
right? So it was like they just went down the line. It was like, all right, let's see, here. I'm like, all right, they did it. But it's kind of a fun book, like I said. Ben finally finds out that he has this price on his head, but he doesn't know from whom or why. But we do find out partially the why at the end of this issue, when something is revealed about the importance of the child, let's just say, at the end of this. We even get a nice little nod / reference to his team up days in Marvel 2-in-1 that he makes, even though he says team up and not Marvel. He doesn't say 2-in-1. So
right.
But also during the course of this, it's kind of funny that he's getting psychoanalyzed by this little kid, as they're going along. He's trying to save her life. So it's some things getting worked out in this issue, and it's kind of amusing.
It's like, why are you smiling when you're punching people? I'm like, oh, doesn't everybody smile?
Right. Because she was like, well, wait, because he was basically telling her, it was like, yeah, angry people and bullies, this and that. It was like, but you're punching people. Does that mean you're angry? Like,
and smiling while you do it.
Right,
I'm
and
like,
smiling while you do it. Right, exactly. Does that come from anger? And he's sitting there trying to explain the whole thing. And it's kind of adorable, but also it's like, okay, yeah, you should have aborted that conversation. But it's all in good fun. So, but my next book that I'm going to talk about very, very briefly, actually, because I kind of skimmed this one enough to not take too many notes, is DuckTales. Woo! #6, written by Brandon Montclair, art by Tommaso Rondo, and letters by Fabio Amelia. So this basically gets into a proper, I guess you could say, episode of DuckTales in a way, because that whole first arc was kind of maybe said to be setting up the journey that the crew is going to take in the long run. But or at least for this book. But so the Uncle Scrooge and the boys are in some land called Eanstead. Yes, Eanstead. Looking for 3 eggs that were supposedly laid by the golden goose. The town folks don't care too much about the boys for some reason or another that I won't get into. And as tends to happen, adventure in the DuckTales universe with this crew, and they get into it a good bit, including with the finds the find that they were looking for. Let's just say. So therein lies that. And the last book for myself is Void Rivals #22, written by Robert Kirkman, art by Connor Hughes, colors by Patricio Del Pesce, and letters by Russ Wooton. So they're still going towards the Quintesson War. That part is apparent, because at the beginning of this issue, we see Quintessa getting amassing a whole bunch of ships, but we also see the representatives of Cobra La, that being part
La 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 la.
exactly, and her and Python and her crew are kind of around the area trying not to get detected and trying to. They're still on the hunt for what they're on the hunt for, which I can't remember what exactly they are looking for, but they are finding a whole bunch of stuff out in space that they didn't. Well, actually, I think I do know where they're going from. They're basically going. They're looking for what everybody else in the universe is looking for. One, Energon, and two, Cybertronians. But definitely, probably Energon more so for Cobra La than the Cybertronians. They're just going to meet up at some point, probably. But while that is going on, it's basically an all-out war going on on Agoria, which is Derek, the main character's home territory, against the Zertonians, whereas Solilla comes from. Unbeknownst to her, the Zertonians basically sent an invasion force to Agoria, and everything's going on, and it just so happens to be that there's a couple of Cybertronians there in the form of Hot Rod and Springer, and a rematch with Springer and a Zertonian named Proximus, who kind of gave him a fit, kind of gave him not necessarily gave him the business, but gave him a run for his money the first time, and then while that's going on, he and Hot Rod are kind of trading barbs, and Springer, maybe slightly out of character, but probably well within character. A little shook, little shook. While he's fighting this little dude, but to be fair, he's real big, and this is a little dude kind of handing to him. You get an ego about that kind of stuff. I suppose I wouldn't know, but yeah. But at the end of this, there's a thing that happens that I assume is probably going to definitely get addressed in the Quintesson War when that happens, and as they're setting that up with this, and I don't know, things and stuff. That's all I'll say about that, because a thing that happens that a couple of parties want it, but not exactly in the way that that parties want it, let's just say, or at least it looks as though. Meanwhile, our Skarxoid friend kind of has a meeting with one would say the original copy, and has some questions that he doesn't get answered, but also runs into some trouble himself. So yeah, a lot going on in Void Rivals, and that, folks, is it for me. Kliqs of the week.
Kliqs of the week. You have your candidates?
I do have candidates, yes.
You have a lot to choose from this week. I didn't realize you had read so much.
Yeah, but my candidates are not that many, thankfully. But yeah, I did read a good bit, surprisingly. Surprisingly. Ultimate Spider-Man, that's usually a fair candidate, honestly. Void Rivals, number 22, that one is one. As I put the books up for the video, folks, Imperial War, She-Hulk number 1 is also definitely one for myself. Or excuse me, Planet She-Hulk is one for me. Avengers number 29 could be, but I don't know. And West Coast Avengers, like I said, it's sad to see that book go, and I guess it went out fairly decently.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from with Avengers 29, because there's a lot kind of explained and a lot of exposition and explanation intertwined in there to kind of get the story moving, kind of leaving the orbit of Emperor Doom behind to a certain extent and moving back towards the central Avenger story.
Right.
I liked how kind of fast paced and kind of hectic Justice League Unlimited is right now.
Mm-hmm.
because there's just so many characters. There's so many things happening with so many characters interacting. Um, I get that, but like I said, I think my top two books this week, I read some really good books this week. The top two that I think I read, with Ultimate Spider-Man number 20 coming in like a close third. The top two were Death of the Silver Surfer number 3 and Mortal Thor number 1. And I think my top book, my click of the week this week is going to be Mortal Thor number 1.
Surprising no one.
Right.
I mean, to be fair, hey, Al, one, we know Agent 70 is a big Thor fan, and it's also Al Ewing, who's a pretty.
Yes, it's absolutely Al Ewing. Al Ewing is doing a tremendous job on this book.
So, again, like I said, not surprised whatsoever. I will definitely end up checking out this book at some point. Actually, I kind of want to go back and read the last book, kind of the last volume, kind of going into this to see how it comes in, because I never did do that. So.
Oh, Immortal Thor, yeah, at least see how it ends.
Right. Because
remember, it does tie into Doctor Strange of Asgard.
Correct. Yes, as we come to find out. So
right.
All right. So that's Agent 70's. Mine. Yeah. So it's definitely probably down to Avengers, Planet She-Hulk, number 1, and Void Rivals probably. And actually, you know what? Just for time's sake, I'm going to go ahead and definitely say Imperial War, Planet She-Hulk, number 1, one shot. It was a fun read. So, pray for Jen. That's all I'll say. And with that, we got the books out and our clicks of the week. We're going to go into the news section, but first, an ad read.
Alrighty, our first ad read of the night is for Wink, your personalized wine club. Wink is a world of wine delivered right to your door. From rosé to Cabernet to Torronté, Wink has over 100 styles of wine to discover. Ever try an orange wine? Wink connects you to a world of exclusive wines tailored to your tastes and delivered directly to your door. Wink delivers 4 bottles of wine to you every month with free shipping. You can pick your own bottles or let Wink choose and match to your taste. It doesn't cost a thing to become a member, and you can skip or cancel anytime. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can enjoy an exclusive discount of $20 off your first order. To place your first order with $20 off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us/wink. That's cspn.us/WINC. Wink Wines through CSPN. Do it today. And now we get into the news.
Cinematic news is up next. The Marvels lacked really solid script, quote unquote, according to the director Nia DaCosta. So let's see, which is always going to wreak havoc on the whole process. It was the end of the quote. Let's see. So Nia DaCosta was ended up talking about. I don't think it was a big budget flop, as this article is talking about. So I think Captain Marvel, like, I'm not saying is the best movie ever, but it has some good moments in it. I think they've been panning it badly in places unnecessarily. But anyway, that's just me. But anyway, Nia DaCosta was talking about 28 Days Later, The Bone Temple, and she said in this article that the big difference was actually having a solid script to work with. Let's see. Quote, making the 28 years later sequel was one of the best filmmaking experiences she's had, that she told the Hollywood Reporter. One of the issues that she had with Candyman and Marvels were the lack of a really solid script, which is surprising because I heard people like Candyman she did, which is always going to just wreak havoc on the whole process. So yeah, therein lies that, and then it goes about talking about the Marvels. So anyway, next up.
So the Fantastic Four movie has been out for over a month. It's kind of overwhelmed. It's kind of been an uneven performance in the box office for the movie. You know, it got off to a strong start with the $117.6 million domestic opening, but it had a massive second weekend drop off. But as of this reporting, the movie has grossed $257.3 million in the United States. And that figure means it has passed Mufasa, the Lion King, to become Disney's 50th highest grossing film of all time. That's a Disney specific number. The Mufasa movie worldwide made a lot more money. And, we'll see where the Fantastic Four finishes up its run.
Mufasa. Exactly. Black Panther Wakanda Forever's Tenoch Huerta teases filming Avengers Doomsday and Namor's return to the MCU. So apparently in a new interview, the actor teased what it was like filming the latest superhero team up and how he found out he was returning to the MCU. The quote is, "We were waiting on the green light from Marvel and my agents in the US. We're not sure about the news of my return," Huerta said on TV Azteca. Let's see. "They practically told us around 12 at night and 5:30 in the morning. The cast reveal live stream started, and they told us, hey, the news is about to drop." It was surprising, and it was cool. So there you go. There's more quotes there, but we don't have to necessarily get into them. Next up.
Okay. All right, 1 second. All right, Black Widow star Ray Winstone got so frustrated with Marvel's demands for reshoots, he asked to be recast instead before being reminded that he was under contract. Okay. Yeah, he was so exasperated with the situation while working on Black Widow that he asked director Kate Shortland for his role to be recast, only for him to be told he had no choice but to do the reshoots as he remained under contract. Too bad, so sad.
Yep. Bake Off's daughter. Next up, though. Hey, guess what? Marvel Zombies adds Thor and Thunderbolt stars to the cast of Marvel Zombies. And those stars are Tessa Thompson and Wyatt Russell. So yeah, they're going to be in Marvel Zombies when that happens. Isn't it? That's, yeah. Yes, September 24th. So it's upcoming on Disney Plus, of course. Not a sponsor, just saying. Next up.
Okay. Let's see. Thunderbolts is now streaming on Disney Plus. That's the story.
Yes, that is the story. Next up, So apparently Obi-Wan and it says Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, but it's actually Obi-Wan and Anakin rematch. But actually it is Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen reunite for a lightsaber duel at a fan expo to the delight of fans. So they were at, Fan Expo Chicago, where they participated on a panel reflecting on their legacies within the Star Wars universe. As the pair were on their way out, Entertainment Weekly captured the stars engaging in an impromptu lightsaber duel, and while they were being escorted by a stern pair of stormtroopers and proceeded over by a menacing likeness of the Vader costume, according to this article that Christensen donned. So yeah, there you go. And then you see, if you're watching the video version, you can see a picture of them taking a selfie in front of the crowd. Yeah, smiles all around. There you go. Next up.
All right. So apparently, in a new interview, Mark Hamill said that the dialogue to the dialogue to Luke Skywalker's character in the original 1977 Star Wars kind of threw him off completely. He didn't get the whole script. And, he basically thought, who talks like this? He spoke to Harrison Ford, and you know what Harrison Ford said? Hey, kid, let's just get it done. So he was definitely no help at all to this guy. And Hamill went to Lucas for clarity, and Lucas didn't give him much either. He said, let's just do it and talk about it later.
That's sounds about how people thought about his quote unquote directing. So, as in, there wasn't much. But yeah, apparently there was other things that he didn't. I don't know if it's in this article. I can't remember, but he didn't like the fact that. Yes, it is. He didn't like the fact that his name got changed from Starkiller to
Skywalker.
To Skywalker, right? Which Starkiller has been used later on in a couple of different Star Wars iterations. But yeah, I thought that was kind of funny. So yeah, and there's some quotes in from that as well. Next up, though, Star Wars Vision Season 3 returns for more anime this October with 9 new stories, including, quote, something nobody's ever seen before in the Star Wars franchise. So, yeah, more Star Wars Vision. I believe this was announced at Anime NYC. In fact, I know it was, but... And yeah, this kind of goes into some stuff that I guess what was shown at Anime NYC, and also in the announcement of season 3 coming on October 29th specifically. So there you go. Next up, the Star Trek universe is filled with interstellar menaces prowling the spaceways. But nothing quite compares to the shock and awe of Star Trek Strange New Worlds' latest cosmic boogeyman seen in this past week's new episode, The Selot Who Ate Its Tail. So, yeah, the Selot in the title apparently refers to a bipedal bear-like mammal indigenous to Vulcan and a pet Spock once owned as a child. And lots of spoilers in this particular article, folks. Yeah, Selot's kind of like a saber-toothed tiger, bearish type situation going on.
Okay.
In the Trek universe, you don't see him that often, but apparently Spock had one. But also, yeah, there's the ship that was also brought up, which brought up this article in question, is being compared to Galactus, but in reality, if you're watching the video version, it looks like one of the Chitauri ships, just a way bigger version. But apparently, it is a giant scavenger starship. So I guess that's why the comparison to Galactus was had. There you go. Next up, though, David Cornsweet's Superman audition self-tape goes viral. Quote, just oozes that Superman vibe, according to whoever said whatever. So apparently, yeah, there's a video out there on YouTube that was shared by some site of Cornsweet's audition. So you can go out there and check it out for yourself. So there you go. His own reel. And I didn't watch it, so I don't know what it looks like. But you can for yourself. Go for it. I dare you. Next up.
Okay. Why Christopher Reeves' kids finally said yes to super/man documentary on their dad. Quote, they were able to paint a full picture of our father's life. So yeah, this is an article, I guess, talking to Will Reeve, who's only 2 years old when his father, actor and activist Christopher Reeves, suffered a near-fatal horseback riding accident in 1995.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, they basically found a way to, describe Christopher Reeves' humanity. I'm not reading all this. This is a long article.
Yeah. But if you haven't seen the documentary, which I'm almost certain is out there on YouTube or something at this point, you should. I mean, I don't
No, it's on
I-
HBO Max. I watched it.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. You're right. Well, it's probably out there on YouTube also, but that's beside the point. But yes, HBO Max. You're correct on that. I heard decent things. I heard tear jerking also in a couple of cases, but I haven't not watched it myself. So
Yeah, that's definitely part of it.
yeah. So and that's kind of keeping me from watching it because like, look, I ain't trying to. I'll get to it, but I don't need that right now, especially right now. Carl Urban has joined the cast of New York Comic Con 2025. So, yeah, he's going to be there. If you don't know that name, I don't know where you've been the last 10, 15, 20 years.
Oi!
Yeah, exactly. As this article points out, he's been in Lord of the Rings, Star Trek, the MCU. Wait, has he been in the MCU?
Yes, he was Scourge the Executioner.
Oh,
look
right.
at all my
totally
stuff.
I totally forgot about that. You're right. Mortal Kombat and of course The Boys. So yeah, he's run a gambit. I can't remember. I think he's only not done Star Wars at this point.
Right. Yeah, pretty much.
So of top franchises. Actually, he hadn't done a DC thing yet either, but I'm sure that's probably coming. If rumors are to be believed. Next up, though,
Right. I was about to say they announced a few other people who are attending New York Comic Con this year too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
You know, not just Carl Urban, but it probably dropped just before you or just after you pulled that particular story.
right, and that one was focusing on him anyway. So.
Mm-hmm. Karen Gillan joins Henry Cavill in Highlander remake. Oh, okay. An exclusive to The Hollywood Reporter. And Karen Gillan has joined the sword-swinging cast of Highlander, Amazon MGM's remake of the 1980s cult classic. Henry Cavill is leading the cast that includes Russell Crowe, Dave Bautista, and Marissa Abela. The action fantasy, which hails from Amazon MGM's United Artists banner, is being directed by Chad Stahelski. We know him from John Wick, and is slated for theatrical release. Principal photography is due to begin at the end of September.
I still haven't seen that one movie that was basically John Wick during World War One. That I can't remember if he was a part of or it was Kolstad. I can't remember. But regardless, that movie's still kind of out there somewhere. Might be on HBO Max. I don't know. Not a sponsor. Next up, though, Cobra Kai creators tackling Knight Rider movie for Universal. So they're trying to bring back Knight Rider.
Dun it.
Yeah. And there's odds. I laid odds that Hasselhoff is probably going to have a cameo in this. But let's see. John Hurwitz, Hayden Schlossberg, and Joss Heald, the creators behind behind Cobra Kai, are in talks to bring Knight Rider to the big screen. Let's see, Hurwitz and Schlossberg are in early talks to direct. They will also produce via their production company, and yada yada and yada yada, and goes into the history of Knight Rider, of which if you are of a certain vintage, you already know. Next up.
Okay, in an interview, Seth Green recently said he would be open to a Du Jour reunion. Du Jour is the fictional boy band from the movie Josie and the Pussycats, which came out in 2001. Oh my God!
I'm getting too old for this shit.
The band consisted of Seth Green, Donald Faison, Breckin Meyer, and Alexander Martin. Goodness gracious, man.
All of those 25 years older than what they were when they did that movie.
My God.
Which, to be fair, I think Donald Faison still looks relatively the same. We can't say much for most of those other cats. But hey, I don't know. The movie wasn't great enough to this be the case, but it's funny that it would happen if it was allowed to. Blade Runner 2099 to premiere in 2026 on Prime Video. So let's see. It is the follow-up to the, of course, Blade Runner 2049 movie. Let's see. Excuse me. This was It was going to. I believe Michelle Yeoh is a part of this jobby, if I'm not mistaken. Because why else would you have her picture right there? And yes, it is the series will star Michelle Yeoh. It was delayed almost a year due to Hollywood, the strikes from 2023. It is currently in post-production. Let's see. And yeah, 2026 is what they're targeting for that to come out. Next up.
An English dubbed version of the Chinese blockbuster Ne Zha 2, the world's highest grossing animated film ever, has been released in the United States with a voice cast that includes Michelle Yeoh. The film is inspired by Chinese mythology and it's opened in more than 2,500 American theaters today. It's the latest in a wave of successful animations featuring Asian culture, such as Netflix's hit K-pop Demon Hunters. The sequel to a hit movie released in 2019, Ne Zha 2 tells the story of a child demigod named Ne Zha who rebels against his innate devilry and chooses to use his magical powers and martial arts skill to defend humanity from dragons and other foes. Okay.
A version of said character has also appeared in the DC universe in the last year or two, which is kind of amusing. But also, take note, Netflix. Take note, Sony. This is what happens when you have faith in your projects. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean to make it whether it's making money or not, but hey, still. As we go into Anime Corner.
Okay.
Transmute.
The Banished Court Magician aims to become the strongest anime debut. All of that was the title. But it debuts on October 4th. So there's a trailer here, and what is with anime and all these long ass titles? This is ridiculous. And manga, excuse me, because that's where it comes from. But regardless, so it's this anime is based on a fantasy light novel series. The Banished Court Magician aims to become the strongest. And there's a trailer here, like I said, and we got a couple of members of the voice cast listed, and of course the name of the opening theme song, which is always a thing, which is probably in the trailer as well. And there you go. Next up,
Toho Animation has unveiled the main trailer for the upcoming final season of My Hero Academia. It will feature a whole new opening theme, the Revo, by the group Porno Graffiti, and premieres on October 4th, 2025. Can't wait.
Indeed, yes. The promotional video is right there on the article for those to peruse if you hadn't already. Next up, Digimon Beat Break anime releases visuals of 7 lead characters, aka the crew. And also we get a premiere date of October 5th, which I think we already had that. But nevertheless, if you're interested in what the Digidestined are going to and their Digimon are going to look like, you can check out this article, or if you're watching the video version, you can see me scrolling past the couple that they put in the article. There you go. Next up.
Okay. This is an opinion piece. I'm not sure how this particular article made it into news. Yeah, this is this particular writer's opinion. They're not big fans of solo leveling. I get it, but this piece is talks about some of the other best animes of 2024, like Frieren Beyond Journey's End, which I need to, I guess, add that to my list. Delicious and Dungeon, and I've watched Dan Da Dan. Still watching it.
Right. Actually, it specifically calls out the Apothecary Diaries. It just mentioned those in passing in talking about the one.
Oh, the apothecary. Yeah, because I didn't read that far because this is an opinion piece. I'm like, I don't need to boost this person's opinion anymore.
But basically, hey, if you're an anime fan, you probably already know about it, or you may be interested because of what was just said. So there you go. Next up, though, Japan Airlines adds Gundam anime to its in-flight entertainment lineup. I know it has nothing to do with the here in the U.S., but it's still some fun anyway. But it's just episodes of Mobile Suit Gundam that you can check out in flight on JAL. So yeah. Apparently, this move is a part of a growing trend that sees major global airlines partnering with partner anime brands to expand their entertainment offering for passengers. So, yeah, that is a thing, folks. And yeah, we talked about what Delta. I think we did talk about what that Crunchyroll Delta thing previously. So, yeah, it's a thing. Next up, speaking of Crunchyroll.
Crunchyroll revealed that it will exclusively stream the anime adaptation of a game from the renowned From Software studio. The game in question is 2019 Game Awards Game of the Year, Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. Let's see. This past week, the adaptation was officially confirmed with the trailer and the title Sekiro: No Defeat. No release date yet to be announced. Okay, and the thought is, if it's done well, Sekiro: No Defeat has the potential to stand out thanks to its gripping narrative, potentially becoming the best ninja anime Crunchyroll has featured in years. Okay.
That might be a little hyperbolic, but sure. I mean, I can't think of anything right off the bat. But regardless, people like Sekiro Die Twice. It's a video game, it's a Souls-like, if you know what that is. If you don't know what it is, see me after class. I don't know, or don't. But yeah, so that being said, it's already got a built-in audience for people who may be interested in watching the anime based off of that video game. So yeah, have at it. But I did watch the trailer. The trailer at the very least. I have not played the game, but the trailer looks pretty good. So there you go. Rooster Fighter Anime announces 5 new cast members. They are listed in the article. I will not name them. This is the Japanese cast, not the US dub version. So let's see. But yeah, then it talks about the history of the original Rooster Fighter manga back in 2020. It talks about, like I said, mentioned the voice cast and the anime's premiere in 2026. And it looks like it's going to... Yeah, it's going to be on Adult Swim in the US as well. So there you go. Next up.
Sorry, I'm taking a few notes here.
Okay.
Before I forget.
Okay.
Sorry, folks. Dead air. Dead air. Literally talking over it. I don't care. So here we go. Next up. All right, so we talked about Rooster Fighter. The Roots to Your Eternity documentary premieres on Crunchyroll August 29th. Let's see.
That would be today as we're recording.
The documentary was announced at the To Your Eternity panel at Anime NYC. It takes a look at the series' creation, that is To Your Eternity, before the 3rd season premieres in October 2025. The documentary will feature interviews from the original manga author Yoshitoki Oima, Season 2 director and Season 3 chief director Kyoko Sayama, and more, with the Beholder voice actor Kenjiro Tsuda narrating. Okay. To Your Eternity. The original To Your Eternity manga by Oima ran from November 2016 to June 2025 for a total of 25 volumes. And the first season of the anime debuted in August 2021.
Yeah. Wait. Did I double up on something real quick? I didn't mean to do that if that was the case. Sorry. That is also dead air. Yep, we can skip that one because I think I doubled up on something. Chainsaw Man, the compilation 2-part movie to stream on Crunchyroll in September. Let's see. Chain Man, the movie Res Arc opens in Japan on September 19th. So yeah. So let's see. Leading up to the release of Chainsaw Man, the movie Res Arc in Japan next month and internationally in October, the official accounts for the series announced that a 2-part compilation movie titled Chainsaw Man, the compilation Part 1 and Part 2, will release in Japan on September 5th. Along with recapping key moments from the TV anime, newly animated sections called Chainsaw Days will be added, which adapt Omake Extra and chapters. Yeah. Additionally, Crunchyroll is confirming that the 2-part compilation will stream on the platform, of course, because this is a Crunchyroll article after all, in North America and other parts of the world. And of course will be subtitled at launch. There you go. Next up.
So we're talking about box office numbers again, and apparently number 1 on North American movie charts. K-pop Demon Hunters this past weekend, a sing-along version actually of the hit animated musical, was estimated to have earned $18 to $20 million on Saturday and Sunday. So while Netflix doesn't report grosses, its rival studios put ticket sales for K-pop Demon Hunters ahead of those for Weapons, which was expecting to earn first place and looking to earn a strong $15.6 million in its 3rd weekend of release. And let's see here. I'm fairly certain this has been confirmed in other reporting that the sing-along version that was released over last weekend won the box office in North America.
That's probably true.
Because this article is relatively old.
Yeah. Next up, as we get into the manga news, Dragon Ball unearthed original 36-year-old draft of one of the series' most unfortunate characters. And yes, folks, you know the bald head and the solar flare and the destructor disc. We're talking about Krillin. So
who is Krillin?
In a recent edition of the
Who is Krillin? Who is Krillin?
Really?
No, I'm saying who is Krillin because if you're watching it in subbed, that's not the character's name. That's all I'm saying.
I'm not saying Kuririn, which I just did. Anyway, look, we know Krillin. Anyway, in a recent addition to
who do you mean?
In Toriyama Archives on the official Dragon Ball website, fans got what for many was their first glimpse at an illustration of Krillin, originally released back in 1989. The artwork, which was featured in Weekly Shonen Jump number 37, features Krillin leaping forward with his arms outstretched and a wide grin on his face, almost like as if he was supposed to be a Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade float. I added that last part, but that's what it looks like. If you're not watching the video version, if you are watching the video version, you can see it for yourself. Sorry, Krillin, I don't think that's going to happen for you. But anyway, the illustration was published alongside a caption reading Weekly Shonen Jump 1989, number 37, was a special issue celebrating a record midsummer circulation of 4.91 million copies sold. The big thank you bonus edition featured a dynamic illustration of Goku and his friends taking flight, along with the slogan, "One leap towards your dreams." On the original front cover illustration, Krillin was mostly obscured behind Goku, because of course, but now he can be seen in his full rare. Now he can be seen in full in his full rare draft. So yeah, and then it goes on to talk about the Toriari archives, of which you can check out yourselves. Next up,
Alrighty, 1 second. Getting myself a little organized here. The Good Smile Company suspends all shipments to the United States. There might be some update to this story because of some recent court decisions, but Japanese hobby manufacturer Good Smile Company has announced it is temporarily suspending all shipments of its products to the United States. The announcement was made this past Tuesday, the 26th of August, on the company's online shop. The court decision I was referencing literally came down tonight. The suspension was a direct result of a major change in United States customs regulations and the subsequent response from Japan's National Postal Service. Okay.
tariffs.
Yep, pretty much.
Yen Press licenses Bad Girl, Furin Prelude, Lycoris Recoil, Recovery Days, and more titles. So there's like 7 titles, 5 manga that have been licensed for March 2026 release. I am not going to go through them all here, but the ones I just mentioned, or at least one of which have been of some note. But yeah, more manga, more Yen Press. Catch it. I'm trying to see if there's anything else actually kind of notable outside of Furin. And no. Next up.
Yeah, that's one of the things I was adding to my list. I'm like, so do I need to add Freerun to my list of anime to watch? So I just jotted it down. I got to look into it.
Yeah, I've heard people liking that one. I have not looked into it myself. So
right. So this article is the American Manga Awards 2025 winners were announced, and at Anime NYC. And, there's a list of winners here that I am unfamiliar with, but, you might be, and we'll see if it's something that I will eventually take a look at.
Such as the Apothecary Diaries, volumes 12 and 13 for Best Continuing Series. Because that one came up earlier. I'm actually looking through here very, very quick to see if anything. Nope. But some popular stuff got beat out in a couple of things, but you can read those for yourself. Haha. Next up, we go into comic book news.
Alrighty.
Vault Comics launches Vantage, which is a new compact editions line. So let's see. Vault Comics is joining the compact editions trend with its own line, Vantage, that will package complete series or multiple story arcs into paperbacks with a 5x5 and 8.5 trim size, comparable to DC Comics' compact comics, with an MSRP of $14.99. The line will start in December of this year, 2025, with 3 titles that will be released to the direct market before the book channel. What that is: Money Shot, Compact Book 1, Witch Blood, Hounds of Blood, and These Savage Shores. So if any of those sound familiar to you and you want to check those out, go for it. Next up.
All right, so the terms of Image Comics' legal settlement with Diamond Comics has been revealed. So apparently, Image Comics has already settled this matter with Diamond Comics, so that Diamond can, liquidate some of the inventory that it has that is from Image.
Yes.
So apparently, there's a list of comics and books that Image Comics can claim back from Diamond, that's part of its remaining inventory, but they have also given up some to the Diamond debtors to be rid of the burden of this backstock.
Yeah. Next up, Wonder Man. I alluded to this earlier. Wonder Man #1 by Jerry Duggan and Mark Buckingham and Trevor Slattery. Apparently, it is coming from, or at least is reportedly coming from Marvel Comics this December. Again, I'm saying reportedly because of the site that this is being reported on and that I've not seen anywhere else. But let's see. Oh, according to this article summary, questions arise if Simon Williams will adopt the MCU look in comics with TV show synergy on the way. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm curious about that as well. Because as we know, yes, the version of Simon that's going to be on the MCU live action, not the one on the books, gotta say. But anywho's, next up.
The Maker's return nears and a cosmic Daredevil arrives in December 2025. So this is part of the solicitations, Marvel solicitations for December. It's just part of it because this is not a complete copy of it. You know, there's definitely some stuff here about Ultimate Daredevil. Yeah, that's pretty much the crux of this. And Ultimate Universe 2 years in.
Yeah, I actually forgot to check and see if full solicitations were out. They probably are by now, but we'll see. Next up, though, I don't know why I'm pulling that one. Marvel's new Ultimate Universe, speaking of getting a box set graphic novel collection. Let's see, it is the Marvel Ultimate Universe Invasion box set, which will go for $120 and will release on November the 4th. Excuse me, it will include Ultimate Invasion, Volume 1 of Ultimate Spider-Man, Ultimate X-Men, Ultimate Black Panther, and Ultimates and Ultimate Wolverine. The first volumes of all of those books. So, if that is of interest to you, haveth at it. Next up.
Okay. 1 second. Alrighty, what are we up to here?
Toy Corner.
Marvel Legends X Factor Deluxe Strong Guy official figure images. So you've got the newly announced Marvel Legends X Factor Deluxe Strong Guy. This came out of, I think, Fan Expo Canada. So you could take a look at the new Guido Carosella X Factor, you know, when he was an X Factor member figure here. You know, 6-inch scale, but yeah, his comically outsized upper body is pretty funny to see. He was a Build-A-Figure at one point, but now he's been reissued as a singular figure here, folks.
Yeah. Spider-Man is on the run to your collection with the new Funko Pop comic cover figure. So let's see. It is, if you're watching the video version, you can see said pop. So it is an issue of Amazing Spider-Man number 65, and of course, well, not even and of course, but you see the Funko Pop version of Spidey on a wall doing the pretty much the similar pose as the cover is doing. Novel. And you can see the box art right there, and the display box that it comes in. So that's cool. Target, Target will list it as $24.99. So I'm guessing this is a Target exclusive. Yeah. Next up.
Alrighty. Let's see. Just getting this article open. Hasbro Marvel Legends series Emperor Doom figure is coming September 2nd. So this also, I believe, was announced at Fan Expo Canada, and it's going to be available September 2nd via online stores like Big Bad Toy Store, Entertainment Earth, as well as Amazon. So yeah, obviously tying into the Emperor Doom story, you get here the Victor Von Doom with the accoutrement of the Sorcerer Supreme, including the Eye of Agamotto and the Cloak of Levitation.
Did you ever read Emperor Doom?
Oh, One World Under Doom. I'm sorry. That's the tying into the One World Under Doom series.
No, but I'm asking, have you ever read Emperor Doom? Wasn't there like a Marvel one shot or something like back in the day called Emperor Doom? Or am I tripping?
I'm not sure. I wasn't sure what you might be referring to. I was like, wait, I misnamed it. So One World Under Doom.
Well, it says the packaging says Emperor Doom itself, but it doesn't necessarily specify One World Under Doom, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's not either. But I could have sworn there was something back in the day called, I'll look that up. That was called Emperor Doom.
Yeah, I think it was like a prestige format graphic novel, I think.
Right. That's what I was thinking. That's why I was asking if you've ever read it, but doesn't sound like.
I don't believe so, but read too many things and it's probably been a long time.
Yeah, fair. Dungeons and Kittens starter set to head to retailers September 26th. I thought this was cute. In a new fantasy RPG, players take on the role of cats, dogs, rats, and more that stand on the brink of the world heading into the Middle Ages. The world is filled with wondrous sights, technology from the past, and of course, Meowgic to be harnessed by the players. Boom, boom. The starter set features an introductory book that contains 3 adventures aimed at learning the game. It also has a second book with 2 more longer adventures, 6 maps, 24 dice, a double-sided reference sheet, and tokens. It will retail for $39.99. Next up.
So apparently last week, rumors started swirling in some Magic the Gathering circles that the upcoming Spider-Man set would be limited to just one print run across all of its products, including play boosters, but apparently Wizards of the Coast unequivocally told IGN that is not the case. Okay.
Yeah, there'd be some mad people if that happened. Which, not without them to do, but just, yeah, that would be very, especially for a set this big. And speaking of, I'm going to take these next 2 because Magic the Gathering debuts Spider-Man set at PAX West, which is going on right now as we're recording, by the by. So yeah, Wizards of course was out there in PAX West. I believe they had their weekly MTG out there, which is where they showcased the video where they usually showcase stuff for them. And yeah, they showcased a bunch of new cards from the sets, or a bunch of cards from the set, not new cards, but just in general. So that being the case, you see, if you're watching the video version, you can see the spectacular Spider-Man 6-arm Spidey card that is right there. There's going to be other cards and other suits for Peter Parker and I think Miles as well. There's a Norman Osborn card. There's a Prowler card as I'm flipping through this. If you're watching the video version, Raging Goblinoids, because goblins were already in Magic together, and why not have them a part of, why not do something with them? There's a Rhino card, which Rhino's blue or red, green. That's interesting. Anyway, Sandman, Spider-Man India, a Spidey suit, the Clone Saga card, Ultimate Green Goblin. There's a bunch of other cards. You get my point. Like I said, I don't want to go through all of these cards because there's a bunch of them. And that Craven the Hunter card looks like it's pretty good. Either way, there is that. But also, there's I didn't mean to do that one. You can see also there's another link in the show notes of all of the cards in a different format. But Magic the Gathering Spider-Man set is channeling the PlayStation games with dozens of alternate skins for Spider-Man. You didn't necessarily see them in that other set of cards that I just showed, but yeah, there's that spectacular Spider-Man card. There's a couple more with different suits. There's the Bagman card. Excuse me, the Spectacular Spider-Man Bagman card. There's a Future Foundation, Six Arm, the Velocity suit, and a few others that are going to be in this set. So yeah, they are definitely going big with this whole Spidey set. And I need to procure me a box at some point soon, or going forward anyway. Next up, though,
Marvel's Deadpool VR apparently now has a release date, price, and story trailer. The blockbuster Quest 3 and Quest 3S exclusive, developed by Meta-owned Twisted Pixel Games in collaboration with Marvel Games, was announced just over 2 months ago. It has a cel-shaded graphic style, and unlike in the movies, Deadpool in VR is voiced by Doogie Howser, Neil Patrick Harris. Now Meta has revealed that Deadpool VR will release on the Horizon store on November 18th, priced at $50.
Yeah, that's not a lot of VR games don't really get that price unless there's something fairly supposedly significant, like notably that other Batman game that came out not that long ago was 50 bones, but a lot of VR stuff is not that much. So this is
right. So apparently there's a story trailer, and this trailer reveals that you'll be contracted by the supervillain Mojo, voiced by John Leguizamo, to kidnap talent for a new show for his galaxy-wide streaming platform.
That old chestnut. Also forgot that Twisted Pixel was owned by Meta, and that's slightly a bummer, but I was wondering where they went to. Next up, though, gentlemen, we're going to take it out a whole new door. Or, I guess more importantly and appropriate, gentlemen, let's broaden our minds. As Mezco announces the 5 points Batman 89 Figures Series 2, which includes the dude with the boombox that was with the Joker, and, of course, Keaton's Batman 89 figure. So let's see. It's a 3-pack, of course, and pre-orders are open right now, and the set will ship in May of 2026. Honestly, I kind of just want this for the dude with the boombox. If we're being honest. Believe there was a price. If it was, I don't see it. And I don't see it. So we're gonna move on while I look into this. Oh, $65.99. Never mind. Yeah, there we go. Next up.
A collectible scale figure of Kamen Rider Black will be released worldwide nearly 4 decades after the series' 1987 premiere. A first look at the upcoming Kamen Rider Black scale figure by Hot Toys, it's going to be expensive, was released by collectible figure retailer Sideshow. Let's see here. Per a press release, the highly detailed figure depicts Kotaro Minami in action as a legendary motorcycle riding hero. Let's see. Price. Kamen Rider Black 6th scale collectible figure is available for pre-order at $270. Orders are expected to ship between August and December of this year.
Godzilla against Mechagodzilla Heat Ray Godzilla by Hiya Toys is the next one. It's going to retail about 55 USDs and has a release date of Q2 2026. It is a new variant, according to this article, that you can check out the pictures of in this article. He's got the frosted tips. He's got the blast that you can throw up in his mouth, and an extra set of claws. And there you go. Next up.
Goodness. Okay. Tomi's next giant die-cast Star Trek model is the Klingon D7 battlecruiser. You can reserve your honor now. So the ship will be built to 1 to 350 scale, making it 26 inches in length and a hefty 12 pounds. The model is composed of 85% die-cast metal, that's going to weigh a ton, and 15% plastic detail components, and is authentically detailed with remote control LED lighting. Let's see here. Tomy is offering the D7 in 2 versions, the original TV series screen model and an original concept design variant. Let's see here. You can see pictures of the 2 ships. Both versions cost $699 and can be purchased together for $1,398.
Drop in the bucket. Last but not least, hey folks, if you wanted to get your hands on a Transformers War for Cybertron Siege Titan class Omega Supreme figure, well, not a sponsor, Big Bad Toy Stores has got you covered with an exclusive. And apparently it excludes tariff surcharges in the $199.99 price tag, which is the pre-order price and the estimate to arrive in September 2025, which is kind of funny because I was just watching an episode fairly recently where not only were the area bots born and that one thing about Silverbolt's thing came out, but also Omega Supreme got deconstructed for reasons. So that was kind of an amusing thing that I didn't remember ever seeing, but I did. So yeah. Omega Supreme, never had them, but I don't think.
I was about to say most people did not.
Yes, exactly, because that was a pricey figure.
I mean, it's not. I was about to say it's not. We're not talking about GI Joe aircraft carrier here, but kind of close.
Right, exactly. So yeah, that Omega Supreme was pricey. Next, only in line to something that we will talk about in a minute, actually. But with that, folks, that is the end of the news section. Before, I guess, we go into the last ad read, we got a little bit of show and tell.
Sure. Do you want to lead off or do you want to let me?
I'll go for it.
All right. So I went to Anime NYC, as we talked about with our news, some of our news stories. For this past week. I went to Anime NYC last weekend. I only went for 1 day and I had a good time. It's still definitely a 1-day show for me because there's still so much of anime and manga that I am unfamiliar with in terms of what they're promoting and what's popular. You know, I barely recognize the cosplay that's running around. I mean, there's lots of like the girl-focused anime and manga that's just, I'm not the target demographic, so I'm unfamiliar with it. And also some of the video game based characters as well, like Genshin, right? So, you know, but still, I ended up being able to get a few things. You know, I definitely was surprised to see that the few Haikyuu things that I saw were actually sold out. I tried to buy a print and the artist reluctantly or very sadly told me that she was sold out. But I did get her socials, so hopefully I can reach out and see if I can get another copy or see if she's making an appearance at New York, because I know that I don't know if she's a local artist, but my hope is that maybe I can get a copy of this particular print that she did for Haikyuu. But I did get, you know, just one kind of Haikyuu thing, one Haikyuu related thing that was kind of cool. It was just a little keychain strap, you know, kind of like a shortened lanyard, which I'll probably use to you know, hold my keys at the gym, or maybe like my headphones at the gym. So, you know, like you don't want to lose them or put them down in like a grimy spot in the gym, you know, if you don't have pockets that day. But I'll pull out one other thing. Well, like I ended up getting a Crunchyroll grab bag, and I know that they've had the grab bag at New York Comic Con, but you know, I decided to pick up the kind of like the blind bag grab bag at Anime NYC because there really wasn't much for me to pick up, and it turns out I did all right. So in terms of, oops, let me turn off my background here. Here we go. All right. So my blind bag actually came with a special edition first volume of Kaiju #8, the manga. Kind of cool. I'm keeping up with this particular anime, so I'm glad to get this particular manga. And I flipped through it, and I definitely recognized a lot of what I saw in the first several episodes of the anime. The blind bag also had copies of DVDs, specifically the classic 1960s children TV series Astro Boy. So it came with a DVD set of Astro Boy, I guess volumes 1 and 2. So I guess, you know, they're going to indoctrinate me somehow. And that seems to be a decent way to start. And I got a big Funko Pop, very much on brand for me. It's a Crunchyroll exclusive. It's the Jaw Titan from Attack on Titan, which is pretty cool, right? A pretty unique Funko Pop.
Mm-hmm.
And last but not least is I got a little minifig of the water-breathing Tanjiro from Demon Slayer. Right? So the nice little blind bag purchase there, you know, like basically commensurate with the cost of the bag, which I think was like $45, something like that. So you're basically getting what you pay for.
Yeah.
Right. It basically all adds up. Next up is just real quick. I picked up, you know, we were joking before, maybe over the last couple of weeks about me kind of experimenting or diving into Gunpla as a result of doing a free Gunpla class at San Diego Comic-Con. And so I picked up a couple of models, not the way I wanted to. I didn't get them from a specific kind of mom and pop shop that I had intended to get it from, but I did end up getting them, and I got some specific models. One is an RX-78 that has like kind of the full weapon set, so it's still a beginner model, but it's better than the free model that I was given at San Diego Comic-Con. You know, pretty cool. You know, it's got the full shield and the shoulder equipped cannon and the laser sabers, and that's pretty cool. I'm looking forward to building that. I also got from one of the few Gundam anime that I've watched, that being the 08th MS Team Gundam. I got the RX-79 Gundam ground type. So, you know, I recognize this, you know, the big kind of ground and pound. What's that?
There you go. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, the ground and pound MS-08 team Gundam. I'm looking forward to building this too.
Yes.
Right?
Great series if you haven't watched it.
Yes, definitely. I'll show the full weapon set RX-78. Also, again, just holding it up a little higher to get the full view of it.
There you go.
All right. And you know, that's like basic Gundam stuff. The next one is not all that basic, but it's still one of the Gundams that I've touched on, dabbled in. It's Gundam Wing, and this is specifically the Wing Gundam Zero. It's one of the flying ones, one of the few flying ones. And I got it because it's not the feathery wing one, but it's got like a set of wings, and it turns into like a flying contraption. So I'm looking forward to building this. This is probably going to be the last one in the sequence that I build, just to give it a shot. You can see here, this is definitely right. This is definitely illustrative of what the final model will look like. I'm looking forward to building this one because it looks pretty intricate. and based on the instructions, no glue, just needed some nippers, which I definitely had to pick up. So I've got the tool to do the trimming, and no paint either. So just happy to put these together.
Mm-hmm.
Because these are colored plastic. So God bless them for not forcing me to paint. It's not Warhammer, but I know that some of these Gundam models can get very Warhammer-y.
Yeah, especially
And
if you're
that's
getting into
it.
custom stuff.
What's that?
Especially if you're getting into custom stuff.
Exactly. And that's it for me in terms of show and tell this week on the Comic Book Chronicles.
And for those not watching the video version, yes, the version of the Gundam Wing Zero is from the beginning of the series, and not the movie, as he was talking about. All right, so let me do this, and this is probably not going to show up well on this, but I'm not dropping my virtual, so it's gonna have to do. So I only got a couple of things. One of which just came in the mail like yesterday or so. Oh yeah, that shows up. All right. So it is a playmat that has Amazing Spider-Man on it.
Oh, nice.
Yep. From I forgot who's, but I got it off of Amazon regardless. Doesn't matter who made it. But this thing, the kind of thing is licensed. Actually, come to find out, you can get a lot of crazy playmats on Amazon. Some of which are a little lascivious.
Yeah, maybe a little risque.
Yeah, just a bit. But I was like, oh, wow. That's.
Are you going to use it to play any games or just as a glorified mousepad?
I mean, I have a regular black one for, because I was going to actually put out, well, I want to get a new disc first, that I will probably put out as the mouse pad. This one I probably would use to play if I ever use like Spell Table or play some Paper Magic somewhere, which the chance of that happening is not
right. Because I know I've got an Attack on Titan playmat that's right now actively acting as a glorified mousepad.
Yeah.
And I've got a nice mousepad that I got at San Diego Haiku one. I showed it on the show. It's actually sitting in my office now, but I have not yet deployed it. So
right. So there is a chance for that to be used in a game of Magic should that happen. Now next up, bear with me for like 10 seconds because I have to get it out of the box and I need to mute my mic.
Alrighty. Do 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 do.
All right.
So there you go. See, no dead air.
Well, it was. They won't go know it because it was going to get cut out anyway. So, folks, if you remember us talking about a certain Transformers figure / set that was exclusive to San Diego Comic-Con that I wanted for myself, well, guess what? Got it. There it is.
Nice.
It's the Jetfire and Derek and Solilla set. Okay, that's not showing up all that well.
Listen, it's a nice looking set. You can still get it on Hasbro Pulse where Roddykat got it. I think it's still available. I have not checked.
Probably. Here, I'm going to do something I probably shouldn't do real quick if I can reach my mouse. There it is. And there you go. Forgive my junky room, but there you go. So yeah, you can see the set right there. You can see Jetfire on one side. The Derek and Solilla is over here somewhere, and I don't know what this is. This is like a comic book or something, but I'm not sure.
I was about to say, don't worry, you didn't really drop your background. Oh no, I see you're in the process of dropping it.
Oh wait, it didn't drop. Okay. There we go.
Oh yeah, no, it's dropped.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, I'm not gonna take it all the way out, but there's Jetfire. There's Derek and Solilla is on the right side. I don't want to take the thing fully out because
Very cool.
the way it is. You can see the back. There is that. So yeah, enjoying. I'm going to enjoy it if I ever get a chance to put this out or mess with it, because as you can see, office is a little bit of a disarray at the moment, and it's going to be a while before that not becomes the case. Hence why I keep my virtual background up.
Understood.
A little behind the scenes there, but that is the show and tell for myself, and that concludes our show and tell for tonight and the show for tonight. But before we end the show, let's get our one last ad read.
All right, help us keep our podcast free by shopping at Amazon. Visit cspn.us and click the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down and click on the Amazon link to shop. Purchase items from Amazon as you normally would, whether it's books, music, electronics, jewelry, apparel, or Marvel Legends. For every purchase made on Amazon through our link, Amazon sends the CSPN payment that helps us keep the Comic Book Chronicles podcast free for our listeners at no extra cost to you. Amazon.com through CSPN.us. Do it today.
Oh, you know what I think that is? I think that is a variant cover for Transformers #1. If I'm not mistaken. That's what it feels like. Which would make sense, because that's where Jetfire popped up in relation to that. So yeah, that's probably not Transformers #1, Boy Rivals #1, excuse me. So,
got it.
Therein lies that. But folks, that is it for the show. We will be back next week. Maybe we'll talk Peacemaker. I don't know.
Right. It all depends on the scheduling. It's unlikely because, of when the new episodes drop.
Right.
But we'll
Maybe
see.
a little bit more on episode 2, since I will have had a chance to watch it by then.
Right.
But we'll see if it's worth talking about. Outside of that, yeah, not much else is hopefully going on, unless something else crazy happens or something comes up.
No, I was about to say, I want to say, now you're going to make me check my calendar, because I want to say Demon Slayer is coming out soon, and that's going to pop up on our calendars before we know it. And I want to just double check the calendar here. Oh no, wait! I've already confirmed.
Yeah,
no need
did.
to take movie protocol.
Right.
That's correct.
You did do that. Yes.
Yep. So we're okay. We're probably gonna have a chance to talk about, or at least, I don't know when Roddykat's gonna have a chance to go see it. So we'll talk about it maybe the week after.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not looking too good at this point, but we'll see. That being the case, though, we're gonna go. I have been Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter and Blue Sky. You can find me at News Nerds Need on Twitter and Blue Sky. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram. Oh yeah, Comic Book Chronicles also on Blue Skies, but you can check that there. Thank you. Agent_70 on Twitter, Blue Sky, and Threads and Instagram. And you can find this here podcast on the Cola Slither Podcast Network. That's CSPN.us.
Do it today.
You can also find us on your podcast perusal place of choice, whether it be Apple iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Cola Slither Podcast Network SoundCloud page.
Make sure to click like, subscribe, and leave us all the positive 5-star reviews, especially on Apple Podcasts, because that helps people find our show.
Indeed, and if you want to catch us recording live, normally we'd be on Thursday nights, 9:30 / closer to 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on youtube.com/TheKliqNation and twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles.
Right, make sure to click like, subscribe, smash that like button, hit that notification button so you know when we're on. Maybe it might not be on exactly when we normally record, but you'll find out and you'll get a notification when we are on live and direct.
And not just for the show, for the Twitch stuff, maybe even other streams that of video game variety, of the comic book variety.
There you go.
Played. So, because there's a whole slew of them I can do. That is for certain. And with that, folks, this has been the Comic Book Chronicles. Peace.
Alrighty, peace. Peace. One.
I love it when a plan comes together.